Hello, today I bring a story that's at least intriguing. One of those that makes us shiver when heard at night. What at first was just a mere curiosity soon seemed more supernatural. As witnesses say, it rolled on its own. A media frenzy emerged when the ball awoke the interest of the Navy and nationally renowned scientists. The obsession with the mysterious ball ended up silencing the family. That's right, people. A mysterious metallic ball, capable of leaving anyone curious. The mysterious Betz Sphere of Fort George Island. A story about a UFO investigation, a mansion in the forest, and how a shiny object silenced an entire family. If you like the video, don't forget to value my hours of research and production. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, the finger doesn't spend, I guarantee. Share the video in the WhatsApp and Facebook group, help me out guys. In 1974, the Betz family of Jacksonville found a metal sphere in the Fort George Island forest. Over the years, the enigmatic Betz Sphere has generated speculation about what it is and where it came from. Sometime in March or April of 1974, approximately, 3 members of the Betz family, parents Jerry and Antoine and their oldest son Terry, were walking in the forest around their property on Fort George Island in Jacksonville when Terry found something that would impact their lives for years, a strange metallic sphere, the size of a bowling ball. Finding it strange enough to be a good memento, Terry, then a 21-year-old medical student, took the ball home. The Betz family didn't think much about the orb until one day when Terry began strumming his guitar near it. According to Jerry, who became the family's spokesman on matters related to the sphere, something strange happened. The ball started humming back. Soon it began exhibiting other unusual properties. It would apparently roll on its own, changing direction and stopping abruptly. It even vibrated and emitted a high-pitched sound that made dogs bark and cover their ears. In no time, the Betz Sphere, also known as the mysterious sphere, or simply Old Bell, began attracting attention. Ron Kivett, host of the local radio program on paranormal phenomena, was one of the first to inspect it. Kivett, who also has a place in local tradition as one of the writers of the cult monster movie Saw, produced locally, confirmed the Betz family's claims that the sphere moved and behaved in strange ways. He, like many others after him, was convinced that the orb was of extraterrestrial origin, a device created by some cosmic intelligence for an opaque purpose. People. Imagine finding a ball like that in your backyard. What would you do? In mid-April, the Betz Sphere had also attracted the attention of the news. It is not clear whether the Betzes contacted the media or if reporters found out about it through the town, but the local newspapers in Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Journal and the Florida Times-Union, began covering the sphere and interviewing Jerry about it. According to Lindsay Kilbride, a reporter from the Jackson's partner, and host of a podcast about the sphere. The sphere captured people's curiosity. At that time, UFOs were very popular, Kilbride said. The story only grew from there. A week or two after making headlines locally, it was a national story, and even international publications picked it up, Kilbride said. In the spring of 1974, reporters from around the world asked, "What is this crazy thing in Jacksonville and where did it come from?" In the face of heightened curiosity, even the U.S. Navy wanted to take a look at the Betz Sphere. A savvy businesswoman, Jerry drafted a contract that gave the Navy 2 weeks to inspect the orb at the Mayport Naval Station and committed them to return it if it wasn't government property. In contemporary reports, the Navy spokesperson stated that they only discovered that the ball was stainless steel, not their property, and that although they couldn't determine what it was for, it was certainly built on Earth. The Navy suggested that its tendency to move was due to a small triangular notch on the surface that compromised its perfect balance and the fact that the Betz floor was uneven. But of course, they would say that. Scientists were next to uncover the mystery. Coincidentally, shortly after the Betz Sphere story broke, the National Enquirer was gathering a panel of 5 UFO investigators in New Orleans. Despite the sponsor and questionable reputation, each of the members were a scientist or engineer in their own right. Among them was J. Allen Hynek, Northwestern University astronomy professor and the most well-known ufologist at the time. The Enquirer flew Terry Betz and the sphere for it to be investigated by the panel. Obviously, Hynek and his colleagues were not impressed with the ball and agreed with the Navy that it was artificial. These conclusions did not diminish the interest in the sphere, and eventually the Betz family grew tired. Roughly a year and a half after the orb became a national news story, the family simply stopped talking about the sphere. "I recorded interviews with her at the time, and it was extremely overwhelming for her family," said Kilbride. Jerry Betz was receiving calls 24 hours a day. The phone was ringing constantly. People were just showing up at her house. It dramatically changed their lives. That's how they became known. With the Betzes no longer answering questions related to the sphere, it was never definitively proven what the thing was or how it had arrived on Fort George Island. The sphere, after a brief period of popularity, quickly fell out of the collective consciousness, and the Betz family returned to their normal lives. Although out of the media spotlight, they certainly did not stay quiet. Jerry was a real estate and trucking businessman, and Antoine was a marine biologist. Jerry remained active in the community and was willing to talk about almost everything, except the sphere. However, a small group of people, UFO enthusiasts, history buffs of Jacksonville and fans of crazy stories, kept its memory alive. Despite the lack of news about the object or comments from the family for over 40 years, the sphere continues to appear in books, shows and websites about aliens and unexplained mysteries. In 2017, it had its own episode of Ancient Aliens, the uncritical, albeit entertaining, History Channel program about, well, ancient aliens. The supposed attributes of the sphere grew in direct contrast to the real information about it. Today, websites say it is made of heavier elements than anything found on Earth, and that if it were drilled, it would explode with the power of an atomic bomb. Skeptical accounts also emerged. The Skeptoid podcast covered the Betz Sphere in 2012. In 2016, Jacksonville writer Tim Gilmore wrote about the sphere on his website jackpsychogeo.com. Following some of the most skeptical news articles, they offer more prosaic explanations for the sphere's origins. In particular, the sphere's specifications fit very well with industrial ball retention valve spheres, such as those deactivated at a paper factory in Northside 15 years before the Betz sphere was found. In September 2019, Lindsay Kilbride and WJCT Public Media launched the Old Bell podcast, which is emerging as the most comprehensive account of the Betz sphere ever made. Kilbride first found the story in, of all things, Ancient Aliens. They don't go very deep in the episode. They just expose what's already on the internet. And they basically say, this is a UFO. The story inspired her to do her own research. So far, Kilbride has gone through newspaper archives and old recorded interviews, interviewed people with knowledge about the Betz sphere and family, and answered a series of intriguing questions about the sphere. She has also delved even further. Did the Navy attempt to keep the ball? Did J. Allen Hynek quietly visit the Betz house and swap the real sphere for a decoy? And where is the sphere now? But, while Kilbride has discovered enough new and old information about the orb to put her in the running for the most experienced researcher of mysterious spheres in history, she is equally interested in the human element, the lives of the Betz family and how the hubbub around the sphere affected them. It's a very good story from Jacksonville, she said. So, did you like the story? Imagine how much research and production time was necessary to prepare everything for you. That's why, leave a like and subscribe. Comment here what you think about it. I don't want to be left with my opinions, your conclusion matters to me a lot.